Most people misunderstand what attitude truly is. They confuse it with a fleeting mood, a reaction to how the day has treated them. If things go well, they smile. If things go poorly, they sulk. But this is the behavior of someone controlled by the environment, not someone who controls it. In reality, attitude is not an emotional reflex. It is a weapon, a sharpened, deliberate stance that defines how you face the world and how the world responds to you. When you begin to treat attitude as a weapon, you stop letting circumstances dictate your presence. You realize that how you carry yourself is not about authenticity in the moment. It's about strategic control. You don't smile because you feel good. You smile because it disarms. You don't scowl because you're angry. You remain composed because stillness frightens people more than rage. You are no longer expressing yourself. You are shaping perception. Consider the warrior. The warrior doesn't walk into battle hoping to feel brave. He prepares his body, sharpens his blade, and steps forward with a deliberate posture that signals strength, even if fear churns beneath the surface. His attitude is his shield, his first strike, his psychological advantage. The same is true for you in the battles of daily life. Whether you are negotiating, confronting, leading, or simply walking through a hostile environment, your attitude must be calibrated to serve you, not reveal you. Most people reveal too much. Their posture screams uncertainty, their tone wavers, their eyes betray hesitation. These are leaks, vulnerabilities, cracks in the armor. And in a world where people instinctively look for power dynamics, whether in a boardroom or a casual conversation, these signals are interpreted quickly and ruthlessly. People may not tell you they've lost respect for you, but their behavior will show it. They'll interrupt more, talk over you, ignore your opinions, discount your presence. This is not cruelty, it is instinct. We are wired to respond to dominance and to dismiss weakness. To change this, to tilt the game in your favor, you must approach attitude like a craftsman approaches his tools. Study it, practice it, refine it. Ask yourself, what signals am I sending before I even speak? Do I walk into rooms with a presence that demands recognition, or do I slip in unnoticed, hoping not to disturb? Do I carry the silent weight of someone who knows their value, or do I over-explain, over-apologize, overcompensate? Understand, your attitude should not be reactive. It should be premeditated. You must carry the same composed intensity, whether you're praised or criticized, whether you're celebrated or ignored. That consistency is power. That emotional control unsettles people. It denies them the ability to manipulate you. It denies them the satisfaction of seeing you break character, and in that denial, you establish psychological territory. You become unshakable, unreadable, and therefore formidable. And yet, this isn't about aggression. A weapon doesn't always have to be swung to be effective. Sometimes, its mere presence is enough to influence outcomes. The same goes for your attitude. You don't have to shout, posture, or threaten. Your quiet conviction, your alert eyes, your refusal to be rushed, these are moves on the chessboard of perception. People will feel them before they even understand them. They will adjust themselves around your energy. And when they do, you have already won the first round without ever engaging directly when you reframe attitude from a reflection of feeling to a tool of strategy. Everything begins to shift. You stop complaining and start calculating. You stop reacting and start preparing. You understand that how you present yourself is not a side note to your success. It is the foundation of it. It is what opens doors, deters threats, commands respect, and most importantly, reminds you who you are before the world tries to decide for you. The world is not a passive backdrop to your existence. It is a mirror. It reflects, amplifies, and responds to the energy you project, whether you realize it or not. People often walk through life believing they are being treated unfairly, misunderstood, or overlooked, never realizing that it is not the world rejecting them, but their own projection that invites such treatment. Your attitude, your presence, your energy, these are not invisible. They are read instantly and responded to instinctively. The moment you walk into a room, you radiate something, and the world, like a tuning fork, vibrates accordingly. This is why two people with identical circumstances can have entirely different experiences. One attracts respect, opportunity, loyalty. The other attracts condescension, avoidance, or conflict. The difference is not talent. It is not intelligence. It is not even morality. It is attitude. One radiates certainty, calm, and confidence. The other leaks neediness, doubt, and resentment. People may not be able to articulate what they're picking up from you, but they pick it up instantly and act accordingly. This reflection is not always fair. It is not always kind, but it is always accurate. The world does not respond to your intentions. It responds to your signals. You may intend to be strong, but if you speak with hesitation, shift your eyes nervously, or approach others from a place of approval, seeking, the world will treat you as weak. You may intend to be likable, but if you bend too easily, agree too quickly, or laugh too often at what's not funny, the world will see desperation, not charm. And once people sense that, they adjust their behavior. They treat you the way you have unconsciously suggested you should be treated. This is why the most powerful people seem to exert influence without effort. It's not because they are louder or more aggressive. It's because they have mastered their internal state to the point that what they radiate is magnetic. Their energy tells the room, I belong here. I do not chase. I do not beg. I choose. And the world, ever attuned to strength, reflects that belief back to them in the form of deference, attention, and respect. This is not arrogance. It is alignment. They have made the inside and outside speak the same language. You cannot fake this. People will always feel the gap between performance and conviction. This principle applies to every level of life. When you walk into a negotiation and your attitude communicates, I am not desperate. I know my value. The dynamic shifts in your favor before numbers are even discussed. When you speak to others with calm certainty instead of anxious eagerness, they listen more closely. When you treat yourself with dignity in your internal dialogue, others subconsciously follow that lead. You are constantly training the world how to treat you, and the lessons begin with your own energy. If you radiate confusion, the world gives you chaos. If you radiate strength, the world gives you space. If you radiate fear, the world becomes more threatening. Not because it changes, but because your lens distorts everything through the prism of your attitude. You can walk into the same situation twice and have two different outcomes, simply because you walked in with two different states of mind. It is not magic, it is psychology. You must therefore become hyper-aware of what you carry into every encounter. Are you centered or scattered? Are you leading the energy of the room or absorbing it blindly? Have you chosen your attitude, or have you inherited it from your mood, your past, or your surroundings? These questions are not spiritual, they are tactical, because when you take control of your inner state, you begin to manipulate the outer one. You no longer wait for the world to be kind before you stand tall. You stand tall and watch as the world mirrors you accordingly. This is the subtle power that those in control understand deeply. They do not ask for the world's permission. They instruct it with their presence. Transformation, real transformation, does not begin with a loud declaration or a dramatic gesture. It begins in silence. Not the silence of passivity, but the silence of recalibration, the kind that happens internally in moments of solitude, when the noise of the world has been pushed back just enough for clarity to surface. This silence is where the shift begins, not in the external world, not in applause, not in attention, but deep within the mind, where attitude is reshaped and identity is reforged. Most people chase change as if it is something they can wear or announce. They alter their routines, their words, their appearance, but without the internal shift, these changes are cosmetic. They crumble under pressure, they revert at the first sign of resistance, because the foundation, the mindset, the attitude remains unchanged. And that foundation is forged only in silence. That is where you stop reacting to the world and start observing it. That is where you begin to see how much of your behavior has been programmed by fear, by approval, seeking, by the invisible hand of other people's expectations. In silence, the illusions fall away. You begin to see how often you have betrayed yourself, not out of malice, but out of habit. How often you have made yourself small to make others comfortable. How often you have delayed action while waiting for permission that was never going to come. It is in these quiet confrontations with yourself that the first seeds of transformation are planted. You realize that no one is coming to save you, that no amount of validation will compensate for a lack of self-respect. That strength is not something you stumble upon. It is something you build, decision by decision, thought by thought. This internal reckoning is not glamorous. No one sees it. No one applauds it. But this is the point where you stop being a reflection of your past and begin to become the architect of your future. You stop operating from wounds and start operating from vision. You stop needing the world to change before you do. You understand that your control begins at the level of attitude, that before you can lead others, influence outcomes, or rise in power, you must first lead yourself silently, ruthlessly, with clarity. The transformation is subtle at first. You become less reactive, you listen more, speak less. Your words become more precise, your movements more intentional. You no longer overshare, over-apologize, over-explain. You become comfortable with tension, with not filling every silence, with not softening every blow. This restraint is not weakness. It is control, and that control radiates. People begin to notice something different, though they cannot name it. You haven't changed your appearance, you haven't made an announcement, but your presence has shifted. It commands, it steadies, it threatens those who rely on your former softness, and it attracts those who recognize power when they see it. You begin to play a different game, not the game of approval, but the game of alignment. Your actions match your values. Your posture matches your purpose. Your eyes no longer scan the room for cues on how to behave. You are the cue. You walk into a room and bring your own atmosphere with you, This is the product of silence, of deep, private work that no one witnessed. It is where insecurity was confronted, weakness was acknowledged, and discipline was summoned. And yet, despite its quiet origins, this transformation is louder than any speech. It reshapes how people respond to you, how opportunities arise, how threats are neutralized before they form. It changes your pace, your standards, your tolerance. You no longer chase energy, you protect yours. You no longer prove yourself, you express yourself. And even in moments of conflict or chaos, you return to that inner silence, because that is where the transformation began, and that is where it continues. So when they ask you what changed, why you no longer shrink, why your presence feels heavier, why your words land with more weight, you won't need to explain. You'll know it began in silence, in the unseen hours where you decided to reclaim your power, not through noise, but through alignment. You didn't become louder, you became sharper. You didn't become someone else, you became precise. And now, without asking, the world adjusts to your new frequency, not because it was told to, but because it was shown. This is transformation, not a performance, but a quiet, irreversible recalibration of who you are and what you will now allow.